Welcome to Coffee and the Bull.
This is where my dad's not necessarily the smartest man because he also didn't realize, hey, you're still pulling on a Briggs and Stratton.
Right.
So it's cold. He's sitting there, and this man, I'm talking about, he had to have pulled the pull cord for that motor 1,000 times.
Right.
And it just
right.
sit there, whoa, 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 whoa.
And you know at time 5 as a kid,
you're
you're
like.
like.
It would not. And, he's sitting there, he's trying to choke. He pulls a little choke lever or whatever, pushes it back in, and does everything. Surprisingly, if you curse at a Briggs and Stratton motor, it doesn't work any more than it was beforehand. Like it's got the
even
ears
worse.
of a woman. You better not talk bad about
Right,
it, because she's gonna be mad. And I remember he's the excitement that he had, because he had, in his mind, it was going to happen real quick, and the kids are going to be driving around, and then he'll walk back in, grab his coffee or whatever, and he's just sitting there almost throwing his back out, trying to get this thing to crank. And that's when my mom, bless her heart, and for those of y'all not from the South, when you say bless your heart is not a good thing. She said probably the dumbest thing that a wife can say in that situation, as he's in the middle of, pull number 45 or whatever, his elbow's hurting and everything else, and he's trying his best not to lose his mind on everybody. Does it have gas in it? Like, you come on now. Like, she meant good. She meant good. She really did. But it was not the time to be asking that.
Right,
and,
right.
I don't, and to this day, I don't remember. I don't know if maybe I trauma blocked it out or what, or whatever it is. But I don't remember if it had gas in it or not. I just know that, man, when it finally cranked, it was, you did not get off of it. Like, that man worked hard enough to get it to crank. He worked hard enough to get it to crank, and now it's, no, you're going to be out there. He don't care if you get
You're going to
frostbite.
ride this till his back stops hurting. Yeah.
When that gas tank empties out, that's when you can come inside. But right now, you got the little frosticles on your lips.
What's crazy to me is as a dad now and as a little kid then, I have two Christmases that stand out in my mind, and obviously I've had dozens of Christmases, but I have two that I will always remember and tell the story, and one of them was when I was young. I was probably like 8 or 9, and I only know the time frame because I can reference like people dying in my life to like know that like this time frame was before I was 10 because my dad was still an over-the-road truck driver. And for those of you that don't know, your truck drivers, they sacrifice a lot. Those dudes are out for 3 weeks to 4 weeks. They get home, they get 3 to 4 days at home, and then they're back on the road. So they're making good money, or they were back then.
Well, they've also got to have a lot of patience, man. Because you look at how mad do you get when you hit traffic?
Right.
And you're either in a car or an SUV, or a pickup truck or whatever, and you can kind of skate by, maneuver or whatever. But when you factor in how much stress those guys have got to deal with, I would lose my mind if I was in one of those seats.
And it ain't like the 90s when I was growing up when they didn't have all the logs and the time trackers and everything else that they do now, where, those guys can only drive to 8 hours or so a day, and then you're mandatory down or you get penalized and fined and everything else. Back then Daddy could say, hey, look, I'm here, but I'm going to cut some corners. I'm going to try to get here, and I'm going to burn the midnight oil and get home. And so this Christmas was particularly special because he wasn't supposed to be home for Christmas. And at some point, this man had made it in on Christmas Eve with that diesel and a big Kenworth. Parks it in front of the house and doesn't wake us up. Takes my mother at midnight to the mall. And this is why it's one of my favorites, because my daddy is not that sentimental guy. He's not the I love you, I'm proud of you. That's just not in his nature. At midnight, he takes my mom to the mall because all I wanted that year.
It was midnight. I feel like midnight it was shut. It was closed.
No, that's the story that my mama told, and if there's one thing that woman wasn't, it was a liar. So, my daddy is a massive, ginormous dude, and my mother was not. She's like 5'2", just this little lady. In fairness, she was as wide as she was tall. Keep it real, but she's a big girl, a sturdy gal, as they say.
A sturdy gal.
Yeah. So they get to the mall, and as they're walking in the door, my mama looks up at my daddy and says, Bill, no matter what we do in here, don't embarrass me. At which point they walk through the double doors, the first set, and my daddy drops down to his knees, which should have put him about eye level with my mom, and starts at the top of his lungs. Mom, take me to the toy store. Mama, take me to the toy store. To which my mother said, Bill, get up. Wraps his arms around her legs. Please take me to the toy store. And my mom is now smacking him, just top of his head, popping him. Bill, get up. You are embarrassing me. My father picks this woman up and carries her to the toy store so that he could buy me a train and for Christmas, you know. And it like, I don't even know why I wanted the train.
Right.
I don't know where it came from. I've never been like fascinated with trains, you know, like it's just that year I wanted a train, and that man came in on Christmas Eve, got me the train. And the other Christmas was one shortly before she passed, and again, we grew up poor. We, you know, big family, a lot of kids, you know, and it wasn't a lot of money for everybody. But my mom would go out of her way to make sure that everybody had the same amount of presents, or like time-wise, the amount of time you would spend opening a present is the same amount of time other people would open their presents.
Okay.
You know? And this woman took a box of Legos with 500 Legos in it. And it came divided up in the single bricks, the double bricks, the triple bricks, you know, and all that. So she wrapped the packaging up and then wrapped the entire Lego box up. So it's like you open the box, you're like, Legos! And then you open it up and it's all individual wrapped packages. And I'm like, I know I got cheated here.
Right.
But at the same time, like the dedication that it took to wrap it up. And so I take that and I put that same effort and energy into these kids and their Christmas, and making sure that I can hold on to the magic for as long as they believe in it.
Right.
And that as a dad, you know, I have more Christmas memories with my dad than I do with my mom. Like that stand out. You know what I mean? Like the things that are special, they kind of stick more with me and my dad than with my mom. And I don't know if that's because mom's more focused on making sure everything's right, and dad's just, I want to have fun. I want to, you know, dude went out and bought me a 4x8 sheet of plywood that same Christmas for my train set. You know what I mean? Like he's like, got to go to Home Depot because we got to build a train stand, and we got to get the stuff so we can build the town. And I'm like, clearly you wanted this train more than I did.
Right.
So I don't know. What is your favorite childhood memory from Christmas besides golf carts, go-karts?
I don't know. It's your, you know, it's all basic childhood memories, you know.
Right.
Like, you know, I don't remember what hardly any of the gifts were, you know, because honestly it didn't matter.
Right.
You know, we were having fun. Like most kids, you know, there's not a kid out there who's just like, I don't want the gifts. I just want to spend time with my family. No, kids like gifts. That's just nature of the beast. It doesn't make them shallow. It doesn't make them, you know, horrible people or anything like that. That's what kids like, you know.
Right.
But also at the same time, I don't remember what a lot of those gifts were, you know. And I'm pretty sure, you know, if my, you know, I give it 5 or 6 years and I ask my son what he got for Christmas this year, he's not going to remember.
Right.
But he remembers who was there, and that's kind of the thing is you kind of build those memories. But that's one of the things I like about Christmas is it's kind of, and I don't want to say a magical time, but you have a lot of people go out of their way to make Christmas good for other people.
Right.
You know, and you know, like we see it at work. You know, a lot of sheriff's offices and stuff, and local police departments, they'll do, you know, toy drives or
Right.
you know, Christmas crusades, things like that, where, you know, they people donate to give back to the community. You know, people that they don't even know where it's all going. You know, they don't know who the family is or whatever. You see, you know, the GoFundMe's. There's always, you know, a family that needs help. You know, they either lost their house or whatever, and people give to that. You know,
Right.
and it's not just even just, you know, like I worked at an event the other day, and this guy goes into the store, comes back out, and he, you know, got 3 or 4 presents that he bought in the store, walked over, here you go. And then I'm not talking about cheap presents, you know.
Right.
You know, and because you got some people, hey, they can give $5, and that's a big deal, asking them for $5. You know, some people can give a couple $100, you know. But you tend to see a lot of people, especially around Christmas time, they want kids to have that magical moment.
Right.
As adults, we don't. It could be another day to us. It could not be. It could. I've got some friends who they hate Christmas, and they do so not because they're Grinches. They do so because hey, there's it reminds them of a time of loss, or it reminds them of some heartache back when they were a kid when things didn't happen, and things like that. I've got other friends who, man, they absolutely love Christmas like that. They've got 3 and 4 Christmas trees in their house. They're just excited, and neither one of those two options are wrong.
Right.
Because they're both responding to what they've got in their life. But I think what I like about adults is typically we don't mind. We know the weight that comes with that being a magical time for kids. And that's why I like I like that my son is into Santa Claus and all this other stuff. And I'm not I'm not downplaying people who don't do Santa Claus or any of this other stuff. That's what we grew up with, and that's what I pass on to him. I like watching the old Grinch movies, the old reindeer movies and stuff, or Rudolph, or the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all this stuff. I enjoy things like that. I enjoy sitting in the house drinking hot chocolate, even though it's 76 degrees outside.
Right.
And so it's one of the things where there's certain Christmas things that you do, and you don't really care, if everything's not perfect, because you enjoy doing it with your family and stuff like that. And so I'm trying to develop that for my son. But when it comes to my personal favorite childhood memory or whatever, I don't know that I necessarily have one that's stands out more than the other. I'm not not downplay or casting any shade that direction. Just right off the top of my head, I can't. I don't have one.
It's one thing that I know, like with Thanksgiving, we talked about Friendsgiving and how stupid I thought that was. Mm-hmm. And I just saw a post the other day about Friendsmas, and I'm like, okay, you guys are going out of hand with this. Just call it a Christmas party or whatever, Right. But I saw something that at first, and I'm being honest here, the first time I saw it, I thought, that's the stupidest thing ever. But after I thought about it, there was some genuineness to it that made a lot of sense. And it was, stop telling your kids that the Xbox, the PlayStation, the basketball hoop, the iPads, and all that are from Santa, because there's other kids out there that can't, their Santa doesn't have that income. And at first I thought, no, that's stupid. That's dumb as hell. And then I got to thinking about, the area that I live in. It's a good mix of higher income, lower income, middle income families. Right. And it actually made sense to me that, there are families who are struggling to put clothes on their kids' backs and food on the table, and they're going broke for Christmas to try to give their kid the best that they can. Right. What does it hurt to say, hey, mom and dad got this? And so last year, that was my thing is, my son got a PlayStation 5, and that was something that at the time I should not have bought. I knew financially I was not in a position to buy it, but it was one of those things where I'm doing everything I can, because I don't know if next year I'm going to be able to afford this Christmas. And I made sure that he knew, hey, this is from Dad. This is, Santa got a book, and Santa got some pajamas and stuff like that, so that they could still go to school and, I got this, and I got this, and I got this, But at the same time, that little boy or little girl who didn't get that fancy high dollar item didn't feel like, maybe I wasn't good enough that Santa didn't bring me this. Right.
The thing is, the kid's going to go to school and he's still going to brag about
no matter what,
about the whatever the big gift is or whatever. But it's something to just make another kid not feel that they're not welcome. I get it, because I kind of had the same response too. I was like, whatever, that's on you.
Right.
But no, it does make a lot of sense, and like you said, it doesn't hurt or anything like that. And so we don't go too overboard with our son. Obviously we get him things. I say that every year we plan not to, and we have. We've gotten one year he got this massive table with this block town that he could build, train track and all kinds of other stuff, and it was like, you took up half the living room for this thing, we got it, whether it be got a good deal on it or whatever. Like financially, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was like, you took half the house, kid.
Right.
You know.